Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and I'm on my quest for England and my search for Sussex. And as you may know, I'm following in the footsteps of Arthur Stanley Cooke in his rather amazing and interesting book, Off the Beaten Track in Sussex. And this is part 2 of a walk from Hangleton to Edburton. And I started in the previous video right back at the bottom here of the South Downs, and I'm heading up towards Devil's Dyke, the Devil's Dyke, which is just ahead of me. And to the left comes the path that the old Dyke Railway used to take, which trundled up here and at the late sort of mid-Victorian period, and came up, took the sightseers up to the various Victorian amusements that were at the top here, as well as of course the amazing beauty spot. Sadly, I can't take you down there because now it's a private farm, the station that is, when it reached the top, although there's still a little bit of a trek that the Victorian sightseers would have had to stroll up to get to the actual top and the beauty spot where the Victorian amusements were. The actual railway began in 1887 and continued right up until the outbreak of the Second World War in 1939, and of course after that it never came back. There's a 200-foot drop, obviously not vertical, that slopes back down to Aldrington Station, which is now the Dyke Junction as it was known back then, and was incredibly popular, as of course Devil's Dyke is still today. I deliberately came out early to start filming this to try and keep away from the public, because obviously this is a very, very popular spot, but you'll be amazed how many runners and cyclists and walkers are already out here by 6:30 in the morning. But in 1893 there was record number of people up here a lot of them used the train, may have come up on charabancs, that sort of thing. 30,000 people descended on Devil's Dyke. I hope there's not that many when I get up there. Well, that's the view. That's what people come to look at, this amazing dyke. Now before we have a look at that, I want to take you just a bit further around the corner, have a look at the other views and also the Iron Age Hillfort. That is spectacular. These that I'm climbing here are the old ramparts of the Iron Age Hillfort that was here, and again you can see why they would have chosen such an amazing spot. What a vantage point they would have had from up here, 360-degree views. I am 700 feet above sea level up here, walking on the rampart of the Iron Age Hillfort. Now this is very classic Iron Age Hillfort. You've got the rampart and the ditch for protection, and the surface of the outer edge would have been scraped, leaving this white, absolutely shining, gleaming, impressive monument that also would have intimidated any of the foes that the Iron Age people living here would have had. Now, this is a very convenient trig point here where they would have done their surveying for the 1930s OS maps. Behind me, terrific view going west of the South Downs, absolutely amazing. We've got the towers they're the transmitter towers of Truleigh Hill, and then beyond that we see Chantonbury Ring, of which I've made quite a few videos, and the hills just go on, and apparently on a good day you get to see the Isle of Wight from up here, which is remarkable. And on this side, this is looking north now, we get the Weald. Now Arthur doesn't take us up to the top where there's a hotel, well, not a hotel, a pub, a restaurant, and you can have cups of teas and all of that, and looks at where the amusements were. He cuts down here through this gate probably and follows the Dyke down. In actual fact, you see the path going up to my left. Actually, there's a gate up there and a walkway that takes you across the dyke on the south side, and actually that's where I think he went. So he probably didn't come in that gate, but we need to get over on the other side. You've got various options at the dyke of which way you can go down towards Poynings, which is what he does, or Punnings, as I believe it should be pronounced. You can go down in the centre of the dyke here, which most people do like to do, and there's paths either side at the top. And the inference that I get from his script, or rather the text, is that he comes along the top because he mentions the old hawthorn trees, and they are very much at the top rather than the centre, and actually the path down is much closer to the mill stream and the spring, or rather the spring and then the mill stream that takes us into Poynings, where there were two mills. We'll talk about that a bit later, but we're going to skirt along the top, I think. It's hard to imagine now a set of amusements up here. The Victorians loved all of that. There were two bandstands, an observatory, camera obscura, fairground rides, and a vernacular on the far side that went up and down on the Poynings side. And here, a sky train. This down here is the remnants of one of the posts that held a massive tower here, this side, and on the other side. And a cable car taking rides with people across would go across the dyke. It must have been an exhilarating experience, like being up in the Swiss Alps or something, whizzing across with this great big cavernous drop between you or under you. I have to say though, certainly not my cup of tea. The Victorians may have been inventive and possibly very safe, but there's no way you'd have got me on that. But amazing all the same. Let's have a little sit down for a moment. The other thing is it's warming up incredibly quickly on this beautiful May day as I film. The drop from here, from pretty much the top, is about 300 feet. You get amazing views looking down. If you're scared of heights, don't look down. It's a wonderful, wonderful place. Now, it's a V shape, obviously, a V shape. And a lot of people think that this valley, the Devil's Dyke Valley, was formed in the glacial period by the shifting of glaciers. Well, that's not actually true. It's chalky material, of course, because it's on the South Downs, so it would have been formed during the Cretaceous period. I think I've got that pronunciation right. and marine sediments, or settling sediments, if you like. And over those millions of years, something like 145 to 65 million years ago, the sediments formed. And 14,000 years ago, there was a very cold period, and all over the downs and all over the land here, they were snow-capped. And because this chalk is porous, it can trap water in like a sponge, and all of that froze. And as we warmed up, the snow caps and any other material that was on the top started to shift. And over the thousands of years that started to happen, of course gravity's pulling it down, then it formed channels, it started to form rivers, and this dike is the result of exactly that. One long going river until it warmed up and all the material was gone, and here we are left. Although of course there are legends about the devil hacking it out, trying to make channels to the sea, but that didn't happen. Oh well, it's warming up now, and there's more people coming out to enjoy this incredible landmark. I noticed that the hawthorn now has lost the blossom as we're coming towards the end of May, and so it's now coming into just the green leaves, which is lovely to see. This path carries on, winds round the edge, and eventually comes down to a spring, and the spring is the source really of Poynings, Punnings, however you want to pronounce it, and that's really why the settlement began, because any settlement is going to be looking for water. Presumably an ancient settlement. We'll know more when we get down there, and we'll look. 2 mills were in the area. One has now gone and one is still there, but it's I think it's domestic dwelling, and I believe that the mill pond in the area has since filled in. So I'm going to carry on winding down there and get down to the bottom, and we'll investigate the mill and Poynings in the next video. So thank you so much for watching on this one. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and come and have a look at this wonderful place with all the, especially now with all the foliage and the beautiful spring flowers which are poking up from the ground. It's absolutely wonderful to see. Anyway, I must get on down the other side. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.